So far it's like a little cringy, and I willingly give my biggest vein to him to inject his life into me.
But now one of them has gone missing and another one has shown up dead.
I'm intrigued. The TikTok girlies are right. It does have a plot twist. I didn't see the plot twist coming. I have read 150 books this year and I haven't cried. Oh my god. Hello my friends, it's Kayla. In this video, I'm going to be reading books selected by TikTok. This isn't about reading the most popular books on BookTok or a definitive can we trust BookTok recommendations discussion. That's been done. I'm just here to have fun and to have BookTok build me a TBR. If you're here from BookTok, hi. I do silly videos like this all the time. Here's one where I read books that look like my favorite books. Here's one where I paid a professional to select my TBR for me. That's me reading books that I found in my Airbnb, and that's me selecting a TBR under the influence, if you're into that kind of thing. And if you're just here from BookTube, thank you so much for coming back. Check out my BookTok. So I've basically picked 5 different ways for TikTok to choose my TBR for me. The first one, the plan was to just open TikTok after having not opened it in a while, and the very first like 5 to 10 books I saw, I wanted to select a book to read from that list. I haven't been on it a couple days, so my feed should be fresh with things that I'm interested in. I'm worried. I think the first couple things we'll see are a few friends only things, so I am gonna skip past those. No! No, I'm not reading Crescent City. No. She's doing a chapter by chapter breakdown. That's incredible. I refuse. Ooh, plot twist you won't see coming. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, I've read all of those except the first one. His and Hers by Alice Feeney. That's the only book here I haven't read. And the other ones that did have good plot twists I didn't see coming. Wow, okay. I said I wasn't sure if I was gonna read another Alice Feeney.
If you're seeing this video, I'm assuming you're a woman who's sad, whose life is in shambles. This is probably the most popular one. Bunny, super good. Such a fun age. If you want an intro into Japanese literature, if you like this one, I think you'll like this one. If you like that one, I really think you'll like this one. I've never related to anything more. Queenie also should be on here more. This one is very feminist. New released about a Palestinian American woman. Honorable mention. These are my favorite 5. I think this trend is super fun, but I just want to make sure that we're making sure it's inclusive.
Oh my gosh, there's so many books. Okay, so if you missed that, it was sad girl books that star women of color. I guess there's a trend about sad girl books. That was full of recommendations. I've heard good things about Luster, but I didn't actually know what it was about. Like I said, the goal was to pick 5 to 10, but then it went off the rails a little bit because one of the first videos I watched had like 8 books in it, and then I just needed 1 or 2 more, but then another one had 12 books in it, so I ended up with 20 things to choose from. This was filmed, I think, back in February. I've basically just been pulling out the camera anytime I have an idea of how TikTok can choose my TBR. So we had Crescent City pop up, and then Sana was reading 6 of Crows, and then Sam recommended some plot twists, and Zoe listed like 12 sad girl books. There are books on here that I've already read. There's some that I have no interest in reading. There's some that I actually have planned for other videos, and I was left with these options. Instead of picking 1, I decided to pick 2. I do have a past with Alice Feeney, and I thought if I was ever going to pick this one up, this is a good moment. So I'm reading His and Hers. The only thing I know about it, domestic thriller, 2 POVs, really good plot twist. And then I have Luster by Raven Lalani. I had heard of this book before, but it wasn't on my TBR, so I picked it up. All I know is it's a contemporary literary fiction story where a woman gets involved in a marriage and in the middle of a family. 2 things I'm apparently looking for in books are plot twists and sad girls, so the algorithm was really working in my favor that day. Number 2 way of TikTok choosing my TBR is I have a screenshot folder that I started a year ago when I officially joined BookTok. Before saving videos was really a thing. Also, I was worried about, you know, people deleting videos and losing the recommendations, so I would just screenshot anything with no context. I have this folder on my phone, I've talked about it before, where I just screenshot anything that's ever recommended to me, anything I ever hear about, anything that sounds vaguely interesting. I often get sucked in by the TikToks that are like, 5 books that ruined my entire life and made me want to die. Upon looking at the screenshots, don't even remember where they came from because it's just, there's no text, there's nothing. But I know that I was interested in them in the moment. The first one that I most recently saved just says hockey, and I saved it because it's a hockey romance, and I thought if I was ever going to read a romance that it would be a hockey one. So this one said 2 serial killers meet and bond over their shared love of unaliving people. I've got We Should Have Left Well Enough Alone by Ronald Malfi, probably just because there's a hand on it. Oh, this one is called Some Will Not Sleep, My Dearest Darkest, probably because the author has the same name as me and it said cosmic horror. Oh, and then the first thing I ever screenshotted from TikTok is called Whispers and the Roars, because this person was making like a big exclamation about this book, talking about how it had like the biggest shocking twist, or it had the most emotional impact, it was their favorite book of all time, or something like that. That was like the first book I ever got intrigued by on TikTok. And that was before I had curated my taste in any way. So I think I probably shouldn't pick that one, but I feel like I'm gonna pick that one. I definitely had quite a few to choose from. Like, here's some things that were popping up, but as you saw, I kind of ignored the options and I just went with the very first thing because it just felt right to go back to like what initially intrigued me, the very first thing I ever saw on Book Talk that I was like, okay, sounds good. And it was really because of the pitch, which I haven't ever sought out this video again to rewatch, so let's watch together.
It's been about a week since I've read this book now. Try to figure out a way to explain this or convince you to read it without giving anything away, because you absolutely have to go into this completely blind. The author even recommends it.
That had me hooked immediately, right?
As I was reading this book, I thought of it as little puzzle pieces I was trying to put together. Right as I was about to put the last puzzle piece in, somebody came in, swiped the puzzle right off the table, and it shattered into a million pieces, because everything that I thought was going on or was going to happen was not it at all. This might be my like top read of this year now.
So Caitlin knows how to pitch a book. Like, that had me intrigued right from the beginning. That's the exact feeling that I want from a thrilling book, is to be putting all of the puzzle pieces together and to be like confused about what's really going on in a story. And I just loved the vague way it was described. No plot, just vibes. Then a couple weeks later, I had another spark of inspiration because I remembered another way that I originally got introduced to Book Talk was this woman, Betty's Book List, and she would pitch books as if they were about her. So she's filming in all of these different locations and she'll read you basically the synopsis of a book, but as if she is the main character. So my plan was to go to her page and just click on a video, and as soon as the book was about to be revealed, I would have to decide if that's the one I wanted to read or not before I ever saw what the book actually was. If I didn't want to read it, I just swiped to the next one. I think I went through 7 or 8 before I found one intriguing enough to commit myself to it before seeing what the book was that she was talking about. If any of these sound interesting to you, then you can go to her TikTok and find them.
I'm staying at this old sanatorium turned luxury hotel, and my soon-to-be sister-in-law has gone missing. Due to a freak snowstorm, we're stuck here, and I have to find her before it's too late.
Can we talk about the production quality? Like, this is very cool.
My group is snowed in at this lodge, and one of my friends has been murdered. The terrible thing is, one of us has to have done it, and I have no idea who the killer is. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this weekend alive.
Oh, that's intriguing, but it sounds a little generic.
The guests at the luxury resort I work at are disappearing one by one.
I know what this one is.
My daughter went missing 10 years ago, and my life just stopped. But now I have a new boyfriend, and his 9-year-old daughter looks exactly like her.
Oh, I know this one too.
I finally went back to work after having my kids, and I've become best friends. When I showed up at work this morning, I found out my own friend had been brutally murdered. Did you know that? I thought it would be fun to sail out to a deserted island with my boyfriend and a few other travelers. And it was at first.
I'm intrigued. Oh, is this the one? I want an island story.
But now one of them has gone missing and another one has shown up dead.
Survival on an island?
I'm gonna do what it takes to survive this. That is my amazing book of the month pick, Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins.
I've seen a couple people read that recently, and I think one person didn't like it, the other person's still reading it, and I hate the cover so much. I didn't want to buy it until I knew it was good or not, and I still don't know if it's good. So okay. This type of island story where there's a couple people stranded in their survival, like there's a lot of them out there. I really had no idea which one she was going to mention, and all of those buzzwords did it for me, so I picked this up from the library. Now at this point I've had 4 books decided for me. I've curated it a little bit to my tastes, but I really wanted to give it a go of finding someone who has really similar taste to me and read a 5-star from someone who's given a lot of my favorite 5-star books also 5 stars. I ended up finding this video from Lee where she put a bunch of books on the screen, and it was about finding her people, people with similar taste. And now there's like 2,000 other videos under that sound of people doing something similar.
I'm searching for my people. So if you love any of these books, let's be friends.
And I wanted to do it myself, and I had a hard time choosing what books I wanted to feature on the screen, because the thing is, I already know a lot of people with the same thriller taste, contemporary taste. Like, I look to specific creators for like queer recommendations and even horror recommendations, but definitely the weirder horror, I struggle with finding people with the exact same taste as me, because there will be a lot of books that seem like they're perfect for me, but I end up hating them, but like the general horror community seems to love. A lot of horror creators will also talk about like true crime, and they'll be on like the more realistic side of horror. I want more weird horror, so I'm gonna put, I think, some fantastical favorites of mine. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Bunny, We Ride Upon Sticks, Middle Game, How High We Go in the Dark. Ooh, definitely My Heart is a Chainsaw, and maybe even more recently the Pallbearers Club. I feel like I should put House of Leaves in there, but then also maybe I should just scroll through here and try to find somebody who has like the books that I'm looking for, or like a bunch of 5 stars at least listed. So I know that the sound is like, if you like any of these books, let me know, but mine's more so if you like all of these books, I need to know. I knew going into it that my picks were a little bit risky. They're some of them lowly rated, some of them different genres, so I didn't know that I would find someone. My goal was someone who had like 4 or 5 in common. I definitely found people who had 1 or 2 in common, and I'm talking about people that I wasn't previously aware of, or like weren't already friends of mine. So I did end up scrolling through all 2,000 videos, and I found 2 girls who have similar things to me as far as horror specifically. They each had, I think, 4, it might be 5 stars listed for them that I also gave 5 stars. So that ended up being Ashley from Spookish Mommy and Meg from Meg Loves Horror. And I decided to just scroll both of their pages and see if I could find something that maybe both of them equally liked. Both of them have videos, 5-star reviews for The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas, which was loosely like on my radar. Me and Gothic literature, sometimes we mesh, sometimes we don't. I know this is compared a lot to Mexican Gothic, which I didn't love, and Rebecca, which I didn't love, but they were each 3 stars. And I don't think being a comp title always means that like that's how I'm also gonna feel about the book. All I know is a woman goes to an estate and it's not exactly what she was expecting. So at this point in my TBR, I have 5 books that are thrilling, mysterious, scary, intriguing, dark, and I needed something sad because I have read 150 books this year and I haven't cried. I haven't sobbed. I haven't had like a life-ruining, day-ruining book. And I know there are a couple that I own. I'm not really being called to those ones right now, so I'm asking directly for recommendations. I do want something short-ish, and I feel like I am going to be picky about the subject matter because there are certain things that, like, even though I know it's going to be sad, I still don't want to read. So I just said, what's the latest book you've read that made you cry? I'm in need of an absolute day-ruining sob fest kind of read. I'm really crossing my fingers that TikTok serves this video and gets some comments, because this is the one where I'm directly asking the people to help me out. I'm so grateful for everybody who commented on this video giving me a recommendation. There was like 150 by the end for me to choose from, and there was a lot of different genres, vibes, tones to select from. Here's a couple that I was considering. A lot of them I just had to pick based off of the title alone, and I didn't even know the genre, until I had selected it. So I have all of these screenshots on my phone of all the ones that I was considering, and then I looked into them after and I was like, okay, I don't know if that's the vibe. But something that got commented 3 separate times that I have actually never heard of, I've never seen it, which might sound crazy because since then I've seen this everywhere. Like since I selected this just a couple days ago, when I went to buy it from Indigo, it was on their like popular on Book Talk list. So I just think it's cool that I accidentally inadvertently selected something, the last book added to the TBR, that is a quintessential Book Talk favorite apparently, and has really made the rounds, and it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. All I know is this is a series of stories, and apparently it's very sad. I don't know if that's one story or the tone of all the stories, but I saw the word time travel and I thought that is something that I absolutely would have picked up on my own. The idea of regret and going back and doing something over again. I've read a couple books kind of in this tone, not really short stories and not, I think, with the intent to be sad, but ends up having this melancholy tone because there's always something about memories and reliving certain experiences that'll do that for you. So here are the 6 books that I'll be reading, and we can get right into the vlog. I've decided to read the first book today, Whispers and Roars, by the pool, because it's short and I'll just be hanging outside all day. I just stopped at Walmart to get some new floaties, and I also picked up some viral TikTok makeup products, so I'll also show you those, because I thought it'd be fun to do some other TikTok related things or inspired things throughout the week. But I found out recently that this might be a romance, and I know it's probably embarrassing to say that I didn't know that about it, because I know romance is like such a thing on TikTok, but like being the first book talk I ever really saw, and since she didn't talk about the genre within it, I didn't know. I thought it was like a thriller, but I recently learned that this author is a romance author or an erotic author, I don't know. Also, the flames seem here to indicate spice writing, apparently, something I was ignorant to.
On a Sunday, I'm tired of all these Friday nights, and if we're through, I'll go my way. I'd like it if you stay.
Okay, I read the first like 30 pages in my boat, and the author's note talks about how it's a dark romance, and there's a lot of like content warnings, only read it if you're prepared. So we're following 2 perspectives. We have Katie and we have Yeo. I don't know how you pronounce it. And I don't know, she is talking about how she broke up with him when they were teenagers and she wanted him to like leave and be successful. And then we got his perspective where he's moving back to town after they've been apart for so long. She's 29. He's back and he's already like seen her. I thought it would be a little more like, I don't know, angsty or like pining, because he originally was like, oh, she doesn't want to be with me, I can't see her, no one will let me like access her, and then suddenly like a page later like they interacted. So I guess it's going to be mostly about their romance because they already both seem interested in each other and want to pursue something. So I'm assuming like there's some secrets involved. And I also think, I don't know, what does calling it a dark romance entail? That like their romance is going to be dark, or she has been through something or is currently going through something that's dark? Like she's probably abused by somebody. Maybe there's like an unreliable narrator. So far it's like a little cringy the way they're interacting, and he wrote her a little love letter. I don't know, I don't read romance, but we'll see how it goes. There's only a couple things I've been really itching to try that I've seen on TikTok. One of them is the Rare Beauty blush, because it's everywhere. I feel like it looks good on everybody. It's super pigmented and a reasonable price. I got the one in Joy. And then I also got the Poreless Putty Primer from e.l.f. because I have big pores on my nose. And I've done it all. Like I've tried various things, all the right skincare and the TikTok hacks, and like it's not something I actually really care about. I mean, the thing about the beauty industry in general is like it's great that we're sharing all of these things and all of these tips and tricks, but also like there is something to be said about how much insecurity it breeds. But I guess that's just media in general. All the things you never really thought about before, but because somebody pointed it out as a flaw on themselves, you're like, oh, do I need longer eyelashes? Are my pores too big? God forbid, maybe I have hip dips. I was influenced by the makeup community like 10 years ago. Let me zoom in so you can see my pores disappear. Like I just don't care too much about makeup nowadays in general, but back in the day for sure. I even made content about makeup stuff occasionally on my other channel. Nowadays, I don't really interact with a lot of makeup content. I think the only things I've been really influenced to get, I have already picked up the Anastasia Brow Freeze, and like, yeah, it's a good product, but probably not for the makeup that I'm trying to achieve. I don't find myself reaching for it. And then I was also definitely convinced to pick up the Tarte Marajuka Juicy Lip Plumps, and I love these. And I always think it's fun seeing the trends that like come back around, the products that are always going to be staples. It's kind of the same with the books that you always see come back, regardless of the community. The NYX Jumbo Eye Pencils in Milk, like I'm pretty sure I have videos of me applying that all over my face 10 years ago. I am also using a BB cream over top, so I'm not going to get like the coverage that a full coverage foundation would give here. Speaking of BB cream, the one trend that I really think is interesting is like color change stuff. Those are things I've almost been convinced to buy, like blushes and lip stains and foundation that oxidizes and changes to match the color of your skin, or like be the perfect shade for you, and everybody it adjusts differently. I couldn't find any of those in store, and also I had a memory of trying one of them back in the day. Yeah, I don't think this really did anything for me, but I'm sure there's like tips and tricks for how you're supposed to apply it. I thought I did it, pushed it in, pushed it out. Speaking of the BB cream, I actually, oh my gosh, I had the #1 most viewed BB cream video on YouTube for a certain time because no one else had really made one. This was like 10 years ago, and I kept seeing these comparison videos between like 2 BB creams, maybe 3, and I was like, I want to see all of them. So I just bought them all and made it myself. Super low quality, super weird to think back on. But there was one that was like a color change one, but it was like an exfoliant. It had beads in it, and it kind of like hurt to rub it. Anyway, I've seen people do videos where they put it here. This is the Rare Beauty blush, and they rub it together and warm it up, and then it's like a good shape too to just like tap in. Listen, I'm already a little rosy because it's hot in here, so I probably don't even need blush. Oh my gosh, I just remembered another thing that I bought from TikTok was the Revlon mattifying thing. I think I threw it out, but I used it 3 or 4 times. Oh god, that's really bright. And it's like a roller ball, and it worked until it didn't. I was also almost convinced I needed that under eye tightener just because it had such like beautiful, stunning results on people with like significant eye bag droopage. And then I was like, are you okay? That's what I'm talking about. I was like staring in the mirror right after that. I was like, do you have eye bags? Anyway, this gets my approval, and I'm gonna go buy all the other colors. This one, I don't know. It does feel very light and smooth. So that's that for my review. I've made it 30 more pages through this. I continue to be of the opinion that I am entering my romance era, and I know that I can enjoy romance. I feel it. But then I open books and they say things like, you is my drug. And I willingly give my biggest vein to him to inject his life into me. And I say, no, I'm not in my romance era, in fact. Because I don't think I'm meant to be like laughing. And I'm sure I will do less of that as it gets more intense and dark and we reveal certain things that clearly are being withheld from us. I'm determined to finish this today because it's been a few days. And I know you might tell me to DNF it, and I think that's valid. But I also think it's important for me to read a book like this and have an opinion on it. Okay, we're 10 pages later, and I get the like whole twist of it all. The reveal that's to come, the reason that people say that like it's surprising. It reminds me of like Taryn Fisher, Kalia Reed. If I had read this like 6 years ago when I read a little bit of romance and liked it because of the plot twist, and like that's the only reason I was reading and somewhat enjoying the romance I was reading, was because I hadn't fully explored thrillers and how I can get that from thrillers. I've talked about it all before in various videos, but it's just like, if you are to believe, or you're reading this to be a romance, there are certain things that like can't be happening if you're supposed to read this as a romance unless there's this reveal coming. Don't know how I'm gonna feel about it by the end, but I get it now. There are things in this book that you're not meant to enjoy reading, obviously. Like, there are depictions of abuse, and I think I'm still only 80 pages in, and so it's only going to get more of what it is. But the parts that I think we're supposed to enjoy, the romantic moments between them, perhaps the sex scenes. Here's the thing. When I pick up a book and you tell me it's about 30-year-olds and then there's a sex scene, I don't want it to be between 16-year-olds. I get it, they're adults and they're having a memory together of when she lost her virginity. But this is not what I want to be reading. I hated this so deeply that I feel like a personal apology to Caitlin is the only thing that feels right now. Because when people read books because of me, even if I gave it a low rating, even if I tried to set them up with the right expectations, even if they read a book that I knew like they wouldn't love, it feels like a reflection on me and a critique of me. And I don't want to do that in case this creator or anyone who's ever read this book, loved this book, has recommended this book. I just don't want to feel like this feels like a personal attack. I just want to be so clear that like this is my bad. It was not for me. And this, if there was any way for me to cut out this entire thing and start over somehow, I would. I'm sorry for anybody who knew what this was from when this video started and was waiting for me to despise this book. I have seen the error of my ways. I have learned my lesson. Here's the thing. I also read a book really similar to this 8 years ago. And I know that I enjoyed it then for some things that it did, but I would have to reread it to know and to remember how it handled certain things, because maybe I would also hate that now, which is a weird thing to think about. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the relationship, I didn't like the plot, I didn't like the twist, I didn't like how the twist was written, I don't like how the twist was handled, I didn't like the derogatory and racist content in here, I didn't like the dialogue, I didn't like the ending, I didn't like the resolution. I don't know that this is written for the community that it's trying to represent, which I don't always think is fair. But these are things you already knew about this book if you know what this book is and you know about me. So this is my fault and we're moving on. Today feels like a good day for a thriller, so I'm going to read Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. This is why the TikTok thing is so exciting that I'm choosing my TBR in this way, because there are some books that I'm already excited about, but there are some books that I wouldn't have picked up on my own. This is one that sounds like it's up my alley. It was initially interesting to me, but then I only heard negative reviews for it. It's kind of come full circle, like the initial reviews were all pretty negative, but now I see a lot of people giving it high ratings. So this is beautiful, wild, and strange. Moreau Island is a desolate spot in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with a mysterious history of shipwrecks, cannibalism, and even rumors of murder. It's the perfect destination for the most adventurous traveler to escape everything, ... except the truth. So I actually read the first chapter of this while I was lying in bed this morning because I wanted to try out the audiobook because my library had it, and now I'm interested because it says 6 visitors. I only know of 4 of them 2 chapters in. We initially got introduced to a couple named Lux and Nico, and he supposedly has this like rich family, but he doesn't want to take any money from them. So they've kind of been stranded, if you can call it stranded, in Maui without anywhere else to really go. So they're just working and living. The main character is actually a housekeeper at the beginning of the book, but then she quits her job like immediately, or rather gets fired. And I wish that she was a housekeeper the whole time because I was like, oh my God, relatable, because that's what I did in high school. And she was talking about the gross things she would find in people's rooms and like vibrators, and I was like, I've been there. But basically they want to save up their own money. They want to fix their boat before they leave Maui and travel the world and do all the things that they planned to do. And then they meet these 2 girls who are willing to pay them a lot of money to take them on a trip to this island. So right now we just know about those 4 characters, and then we jump to before, which I wasn't expecting. So I'm thinking Nico and or Lux have some secret past that we're going to learn about. And I need to find out who the other 2 who are going on the trip are going to be. I feel like there's nothing groundbreaking about this book or about the audiobook, but I just want to say I'm having a great time. Like a great time for how just normal of a thriller this feels. Actually, it's more of like an exploration of like friendship and relationship dynamics, and maybe that's why people don't like it. We have learned the other people who are on this kind of trip with them, they're encountering various individuals, they're kind of learning about the history of this island. The flashbacks to then are also getting interesting because there are some different characters that we're visiting in the past and things are starting to link up. Anyway, I'm really interested to finish this tomorrow and see if there are some twists and turns, reveals, how I'm gonna feel about them. Right now it's going great. And I think I'm gonna cook something tomorrow. If we go through some of the trends and things that I've already tried. I never did the cloud bread. I never did anything with baked feta. Dalgona coffee was definitely a thing that I loved, but I don't think I would ever make regularly. I remember pesto eggs. I don't love pesto, but then za'atar eggs became a thing for a minute and I tried those and loved those. And listen, nature's cereal, fight me. It's like so good. And yes, all it is ice and fruit, but like it's kind of like if you're gonna sit down and you're just gonna eat fruit already, throwing it in some ice, like it's a good time. These carrots I highly recommend, and this honey sriracha bagel is probably the best thing that I have made off of TikTok. It's so simple, but it was great. The one thing I've had saved for so long is the green goddess salad, but I actually think it could be like my favorite thing because these are all foods that I already love, and I need to do something with feta because feta is just like such a thing. I mean, everyone's always loved feta, but it's like really accessible for different recipes. I have many things to think about, but I'll talk to you tomorrow about the decisions that I've made and my final review of this book. Do you ever go to the grocery store and then they tell you how much it is and you're like, no. Are you sure? I got everything that I need to make bow ties, and I got two different things. I got the feta and I got the boursin, which I always buy for charcuterie anyway. People did feta and people didn't like it, and they were like, no, this is what you use. And I'm at like an action point of this book, and I'm really excited to wrap it up right now. Probably while I'm cooking, I'm gonna be stirring and reading just like this. This is what I'm gonna look like. Ready? Things are going down and it remains interesting. So I cooked them together, which I thought would be okay because I didn't think the cream cheese would melt as much as it did, but it really did. But it still stayed pretty separated, so I got to split it up. This is the feta one. Okay, I like it. And here's the boursin one. This one's still good. It's creamier, which I associate with better, but I don't know that the one that I bought, this is the one I always get, which is just like garlic and herb. I don't know if the flavor profile goes together as well as the feta one did, which is not what I was expecting. Cool, okay, I prefer the feta. I finished this, I quite liked it, but I do think that it's about the pitch of the book. Like if I had gone into this like other people thinking that this was a whirlwind thriller from front to back, or that this was and then there were none retelling, like, huh? Yeah, it does say a reimagining of the Agatha Christie classic. So glad I didn't read that because no, it's not. This was 4 stars. It was a really slow burn and was more just about the dynamics of this group and learning about how this couple got together. Like, it interested me. I really thought that this would do something blatantly bad because of how I had perceived this book the last couple of years. So it's good to know that this was just kind of a generic one. It didn't do a lot for a lot of people. The pace didn't work, but it's a perfectly fine thriller that I would recommend to most anybody. And tomorrow I'm gonna make that green goddess salad and figure out what book we're gonna read next. The best thing about coming to trends a little bit late is people have already tried it and tweaked it to make it the way that they like it. So rather than all cabbage, I'm gonna mix in some iceberg lettuce and also a little bit of arugula. I'm doing lime instead of lemon, and I can't imagine eating something with tortilla chips without avocado in it. Though I understand the recipe was intended to be something made without avocado, and that's fine. I've got my cucumbers, there's spinach, olive oil, a little bit of cashews and walnuts. I'm probably gonna triple the amount of nutritional yeast she used because I live and die by nutritional yeast. I'm not gonna film me making it because I have really bad cramps today. I don't wanna put in any more effort than I have to. I'm gonna go for Luster, which I still don't know the plot of. I know we're following a woman. I read my friend Marina's review and said it's just a woman making a lot of bad choices, and go into it like not, I don't know, expecting to like understand where she's coming from. Just like go along with it. So I'll be right back with a review of my first impressions of both the food and the book. Okay, here it is. I think it's good with the lettuce in it. I think I've given it like a Chipotle vibe. If you go to Chipotle and you just get like some sauce on the lettuce. I mean, that's what it is, sauce on lettuce. The cucumber I might have diced up a little too small, or maybe I need a little more of it. It's good, it's not like wowing me in any way. I'm already 74 pages in. It's not a very long one. Basically, Evie is getting involved with this man who's married. He's in an open marriage, and at this point, she has just met his wife. And from what I've heard of the synopsis, like things get weird with his wife and their daughter. And like that's the part of the story that's interesting, is like how strange the dynamic is. So I'm excited to get to that. Right now she's just talking about her life situation. She works in publishing, which I didn't know. She's living in this kind of shitty apartment with her roommate, and she starts dating this man, and he has more money, and when he comes to her apartment the first time, he's like, oh god. He wants to pursue this relationship. It's odd. Like the motivations of everybody, I don't fully understand, but that's okay. Before I finish this and give you my final review, right now it's going well. It feels like a 4-star, like I'm having a fine time. I think the conversations she's bringing up are interesting. This character is somebody who I feel like you can feel sympathy for, or you may be able to relate to, somebody who's just very disinterested in life and doesn't really know what they're doing and is just kind of going along with whatever happens. But also she is critical about the things that are going on around her, and she's becoming more vocal about the role she's being expected to play in this family's life, the strange situation she's found herself in. She experiences like various microaggressions at work, and there are just a lot of things she's going through in day-to-day life that is tough. I'm pretty close to finishing it, maybe like 30 pages out, but I thought first I would do some TikTok trends, because I still don't really know my place on TikTok. I feel comfortable with my relationship with BookTok as more of a viewer and a consumer, but I don't know where I fit as a content creator yet. I'm just gonna film some little TikTok trends for you, because part of what I could have done for this video, and I did consider, is doing these filters where it picks a book for you, but I thought that that would limit what I could read, so I decided not to. But I do like want to find out what, you know, book I am. So first I'm gonna do what queer book am I, what book I could have been. Cinderella is Dead. Okay, I could have ended up reading that, and oh, that is an interesting one, but also it's YA. I would have been happy to read it, but I more just wanted to know like which book am I in my heart. So I am Cinderella is Dead. This one is which BookTok trope am I? So let's check that. What does that say? Second chance. Okay, that's my least favorite trope, is the second chance trope. I've also seen people like sorting tropes that they get, and that's been really fun to watch. So I'm gonna do 5 and I'm gonna rank them. Even though I feel like these are most applicable to romance, which I don't read, I think that these probably exist in the books that I read that have a little bit of romance, or like they're not romantic things at all, maybe. The first one is the slow burn trope. I actually don't think I have a preference between slow burn or insta love, so I'm gonna put that in the middle. And then the bodyguard trope, I think I'm into. The protection, yeah, I think I like that one, so let's put that at number 2. Second chance trope at the bottom, absolutely number 5. I just like to be there for the beginning of a relationship. I don't like friends to lovers. That's how I feel. Forbidden love. Do I put that in number 1 or number 4? Because I only have, if I put it number 4, the next one has to be number 1. I think I like forbidden love. Yeah, let's put that at number 1. Love triangle, that's perfect for number 4. Because like I don't actively, like I don't hate it, but I'm not seeking it out. Okay, and then this one is which classic novel am I? I don't know all of the options. Oh my god, I'm so glad I didn't do this to help me pick my TBR, because it could have been anything. And unless it's Dorian Gray, I wouldn't have been interested. But not that I know that that's on here, but I know it's short and it's on my TBR. It's one of the only classics on my TBR. So I hope I'm Little Women, if that's an option. I'm Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. Ashamed. Ashamed. I have no idea what that is. Really super glad at this point that this is not how I decided to choose my TBR. Okay, and then I just saw this one, which is another trope one. And I just realized that the one that I did with the trope, and it was supposed to be what trope am I? And it was second chance. And that is the trope I am. because Rob and I knew each other in high school and then started dating in art school. Let's do it. Ooh, this one's pretty. Fake dating, that is my favorite trope. I love it so much. So we're gonna put that at number 1 in this ranking. The pregnancy one that I'm seeing flashing by is absolutely not it. I do like found family. Second chance romance, absolutely not. I have to put that at a 4 though, because I'm really scared I'm gonna get the pregnancy one. Accidental pregnancy! Oh, what did I just say? Absolutely not. Friends to lovers, okay. Grumpy Sunshine, I think I like Grumpy Sunshine. And I don't care which is which in this situation. I'm just gonna go through them all because like if I ever want to read romance one day, maybe you get an idea of what I like. I think I like slow burn, but I don't think I really care. Fated mates. I do like that. Marriage of convenience. I do think I like that. Forced proximity, 100%. Absolutely forced proximity. I might have gotten them all, except I see enemies to lovers in here. Very high on my list. Enemies to lovers that have to fake date in close proximity and they're grumpy sunshine. I think that's, somebody recommend me some romance for a future project. Wink, wink. Okay, I just finished it and I'm giving it a 4. I'll explain it more tomorrow, but Liam's here and we're gonna watch Stranger Things. We're on episode...
Season 2, episode 7, I think.
We're watching an episode together each night and the time has come. But I think the book can be summed up, my enjoyment of it, by saying that I love slice of life stories and I love stream of consciousness and I love unlikable characters. So like it was a good time for me. I understand why it's not for other people. I'm gonna look into some reviews and then tomorrow before I start, what's it called? His and Hers, I'll give you a couple more words to describe my feelings about Lester. We are just about to head to the park. It's pretty late in the day and I forgot that I was gonna update you on Lester. I've been thinking of how to sum up my feelings on it and I would compare it, not in like plot, but in kind of tone and kind of writing style to Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. I say that because I feel like the book did a strange balance of over describing things that didn't matter and under describing like major events. So the things that you think the book should be talking about and focusing on, those are kind of casually brushed off, and then we get over description of so many like mundane things. And I guess that's just something that I've learned recently about myself that I really enjoy reading. It's a kind of cold, detached style. You don't feel really connected to Edie, emotionally impacted by a lot of what's going on. You're just following the activities of this girl, just doing things, going through life, getting into situations that don't seem the best. And I found it incredibly interesting to follow her. I'm really glad it showed up for me when I opened TikTok, and I do think that it being described as a sad girl book is a good fit. So let's talk about what I'm gonna read next, and that is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Now, Alice Feeney and I have a past. I picked up this one just for a video. I'd heard a lot about Alice Feeney, how she had a great plot twist. And while I agree it was an interesting plot twist, I didn't love the journey to get there. I found the book a little bit dull. 3 stars. Then I was sent I Know Who You Are, her next book, and it was a little bit uninteresting the entire time. And then I hated the plot twist, so I gave it like 2 stars. Then I did this video series called Third Time's a Charm. Checked them out for a 3rd time to see if it would change my mind, and I again gave it 3 stars. So I was a little more interested in the plot, and I do again agree that the plot twists, they're always different, they're always interesting or surprising. And I got a lot of comments saying His and Hers is something they think I would like, which is interesting to me because it has a detective as a main character, which I don't read, and the other main character has a certain amount of fame attached to her, which I typically don't like. But people were adamant that this still had a good twist. So I'm hoping that this interests me throughout the story and the plot twist surprises me. So I just grabbed the audiobook because what I find with audiobooks is I don't have the opportunity to stop and think. If I'm reading it physically, I'm constantly pausing and thinking, okay, do I know what's happening? But with an audiobook, I'm much more likely to be surprised by the intended surprise, and I really want that experience. But I just turned on the audiobook and it sounds like the narrator is underwater.
It wasn't love at first sight. I can admit that now. But by the end, I loved her more than I thought it was possible to love another human being. I cared about her far more than I ever cared about myself.
But maybe that's just the initial setup, because then we jump to Anna Andrews and she's the newsroom girl and her narration sounded fine. I don't know what the mystery is. I don't know what the thrills are going to involve. I'm going in not knowing anything. But first, I'm going to play volleyball. Get it.
I thought that was closer to me.
I am sad to report I'm 20% in and I'm as uninterested as I usually am. But I'm hoping we'll pick up the pace. We're following a woman. She kind of lost her job recently. We just had sushi for dinner. I remember this TikTok hack I saw for sock curls, but you put a chopstick in the sock to create the barrel to wrap your hair around. So I'm gonna do that. My hair's pretty thick. It's really heavy. A lot of heatless curl stuff doesn't really work for me, or it pulls at my head in a way that I cannot sleep in. So she worked for this news station or she actively works for this news station, and after her doing the work for this woman, like this woman went on maternity leave, she like did her job the last 2 years and then unexpectedly that woman came back, and so she's kind of been let go from that position and put into a more basic role. And so she has this anger towards this woman now, and she's saying things like, I kind of want to kill her. I don't think that's actually going to be what's going on, and I don't think this sock is long enough. Should I use my husband's sock, or is that too horrifying to imagine? Side note, her name is Anna, and I just realized every single Alice Feeney, there's been like Amelia, Anna, I don't remember the others. This is supposed to just stay. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, this is falling out of my hair as I sleep. Maybe I need to split my hair up, actually. Okay, the other ones were Amber and Amy, which is interesting because her like 5th book, or is it her 6th book? She has a main character named Daisy. And so now I'm already suspicious. Like, is there gonna be a character in there with an A name? And am I already gonna decide that like her and Daisy are going to be the same person or something? Anyway, so it kicks off with her hating this other woman, and I think she's even more kind of unhinged because she lost her family. I'm sure we're going to learn more about it, but like she had kids and had a husband and doesn't seem to now. So something happened with that situation. Anyway, I'm definitely not doing this right. Like, I don't understand. Maybe it needs to be a tighter sock. Do I need to get Liam's sock? I'm approaching the halfway point, maybe 40%. I'm just so unbelievably bored. Like, regardless of what the plot twist does for me, like I can't give this more than like a 3. You're just learning things about like their friendship back in high school, but it's not like flashbacks to them in high school. It's just like how all these characters know each other. There are tiny reveals like how all the characters are related, how they know each other. And I do like when an author like misleads you or like makes you assume certain things and then tells you the truth about something that you just assumed was like a different relationship. It's a detective, he's looking into a case, but he's really close to the case, and there's a woman and she is drinking a lot and having memory issues. My power is out again, but I'm doing sprints with my channel members using my laptop, and I've created a hotspot and I'm gonna finish this. I'm currently 70% of the way through, and I feel like there's 2 different twists it could be. One that I've talked about not liking, but the secondary one, I'm hoping, big twist to come. I'm not even mad that this was 2.5 stars because I spent so much time on it. I'm mad that it's 2.5 stars because I hate when there's a thriller author who surprises me and who can pull that off and is consistently publishing books and has beautiful covers that I want to read, but I give every freaking book of theirs 2.5 and 3 stars, and I have no reason to keep reading. Alice Feeney is like my new Ruth Ware. I read 4 Ruth Wares before I loved one, and now I love most Ruth Wares. And I just feel like I'm gonna freaking keep picking up her books. I can't explain it. The TikTok girlies are right. it does have a plot twist. I didn't see the plot twist coming, and that's where my 2.5 stars are. 2.5 whole stars for the ending, because the rest of the book is a 0 for me. It was boring. I don't care about the characters. The detective POV does nothing for me. I actually really don't like reading from the perspective of the killer when we don't know who the killer is. There's a way that that POV can be done where it feels like it's dropping clues. And there's a way that the POV can be done, like in this one, where it just doesn't feel like that's how a person would actually tell this story, write these notes, and withhold their identity in this way. And then as far as red herrings go, Alice Feeney goes too hard for her red herrings to the point where you know that they're red herrings. And I just find that really exhausting to read. Like throughout the whole book, it's like hinting at this is the reveal, this is the reveal, but like I'm not gonna say it's the reveal, but you know, you and I both know it's gonna be the reveal. And she goes so hard with that you know it's not gonna be the reveal. It also had my least favorite plot twist, and I hate that so much. I definitely see where TikTok or that specific user was referencing it among a lot of other things. The plot twist is a twist, but it can't make up for so much of this book that I just did not care what was happening. There are 4 stories in here. I'm not certain if every story has made various people cry, but I know that there's one story that people reference that has to do with Alzheimer's, which is something close to me and my family, that makes people cry. I don't know which one it is, but I'm sure that one, if any, are gonna do it to me, for me. I'll check in with you after each story, or if I start sobbing, I'll turn on the camera for the views. So I just finished the first story called The Lovers, and I thought it was great. More than anything else, it was just a good intro to the cafe itself, the way that the time travel works and the rules involved, which I always love learning about. Because even if it's magical and implausible, there still has to be rules involved for things to work. And I always love that in like fantasy and sci-fi, like how the world is kind of set up. And I don't want to spoil how the magic works, and I feel like therefore it's going to be hard to discuss why these stories have the impact that they have. But I just think the first one was really interesting about this woman and a conversation that she regretted. She got to go back, redo it, and have a certain amount of closure. Oh my god. Story number 2, husband and wife. Decidedly, sadder, but also like really beautiful. So I'm gonna read the next one. I'm fine. All right, the last 2 stories didn't hit as hard, but I see how they could for different audiences. They're all about like family. One of them was about sisters. One of them was about motherhood. It's tough because I don't like some of the messages that I feel like this book is putting forward, but the grander message of like enjoying what you have while you have it and appreciating life in the moment, drinking your coffee before it gets cold, like savoring the experience of life, like that's all great and beautiful. But then there was some things about work and sacrifice and parenthood that just didn't give me like the warm fuzzies that I was kind of expecting. Overall though, that one short story being so good makes this have to be like a 3.5. I like how the stories were connected. I think it was smartly done. I think some people might struggle a bit through the translation. I hate when the translator's not on the cover. Translated by Jeffrey Trousselot. Overall, it was really contemplative. It was about people learning about themselves and a lot of closure. Like a lot of books in this tone, it's more about realizing that the life you have is good and you don't need to think about the past and think about the future, but rather live in the moment, if you will. That's that. I'm gonna see if I can find any TikToks about Starbucks drinks I should try, because coffee, that's what I'm gonna want in the morning. This is what I'm reading last. I read the first chapter a couple days ago and it was so good that I just wanted to wait until I was done everything else to give this my full undivided attention. And I was gonna film some like TikTok hacks, life hacks, I don't know. But instead we're just continuing to eat and drink on camera, which is not my favorite thing. Somehow found myself doing it a lot this week. This is the Twix as created or featured by this creator. So it's a caramel frappuccino with added mocha drizzle, added java chips, added hazelnut. It's also made with oat milk and you're supposed to get caramel drizzle on the inside of the cup, but I draw the line at 3 additions. When I'm ordering in person, the app was not working. I love a Twix, so I think it's gonna be great. It tastes like a Twix without the crunchy bit. Honestly, the real only life hack that matters that I got from the internet is the fact that this can be pulled out. I didn't know. We've got a classic setup. It's 1823 in Mexico. We have a woman and a man who just got married. Beatrice is just getting introduced to his estate and he has an ex-wife. There's some spooky vibes. He doesn't really like to talk about her, and then weird things start happening around the hacienda. The first chapter is from a different POV though. It's a priest and it was very intense and stunning writing and I was sucked in right away. And then it jumps back to 2 months earlier when she first arrives at the new home. She's just getting used to it. She wants to prove to her family that she could get something greater for herself and all of them, and that this marriage makes sense even though there doesn't seem to be a lot of love here. And I do wonder if a romance is going to begin with her and the priest, who something was just revealed about him at like 100 pages in that's actually in the synopsis. But I had never read the synopsis. I only just read it to make sure that I accurately described the book to you. So if you don't know anything about it yet, go into it that way, because I feel like there are some fun surprises along the way. I feel like I'm absolutely gonna blow through this book in the next couple hours. Her husband is away and she's trying to prove to the people around her that the things she's seeing are real. I have 50 pages to go. I'm really enjoying it. I'm struggling. Well, actually, I only struggled with one part. I am confident there is a chapter missing between chapter 14 and 15. Like, it feels like it's been edited. Like there should have been a little more setup for the action that took place in chapter 15, because from then forward, it's just been a whirlwind. And I feel like I needed just a little bit more of an explanation, taken a little bit more time to prepare for the big like moment where they do a bunch of stuff. What I am really liking is just the writing in general. Andre, he has different timelines that he's talking from, so it goes back and forth between him and Beatrice, but some of his are like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, and we're bouncing back and forth a little bit. And that's not the same for her chapters, but in her chapters it's just really well done. She will go through her memories but in a different way. So it'll say something like she saw eyes that looked like this and it reminded her of this time, and it'll go into this scene where it gives some backstory, but it's just told in a more unique way and it feels really balanced. So I'm hoping that there are some like reveals or romantic moments in the last 50 pages. Like I want to feel something at the end of this, and I'm really hoping that that's where it goes, because right now it's a 4-star, super solid, having a great time, but I want it to be a 5. And my final rating is a 4, though the ending I think was perfect. It did exactly what it needed to do, what you expected it to do, even though it feels like I want a little bit more from some things. The ending was good. It just could have been a little more powerful throughout. I think everything was done so well, though it's not a super unique story. It goes everywhere you expect it to go and says everything you expect it to say. So it was a good time. I think the amount of time we spent with all of the characters who like lived on the estate, it was just the right amount of time to get to know them, to get certain people's backstory. There are all of these family dynamics and cousins and aunts, and all the characters are super distinct. There's some like villainous characters, there's some great side characters. It was just overall super well-rounded. I would talk about it more, but this video is already an hour long, so I'll end it by saying here is my final ranking. I liked The Hacienda the most, and then Luster was a win. Reckless Girls was also a win, though those top three I would be hesitant to recommend broadly. They definitely do have an audience, obviously, but they're not like life-changing experiences. And then the bottom three were a mix of 1 to 3 stars that I actually would be more likely to recommend broadly to the readerships that are already interested in these. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had a lot of fun having TikTok guide me a little bit, and I picked up so many books without even knowing the synopsis, and that's always a fun time. So I will see you soon. Bye.